Hey, what's going on, guys? Today for you, I've got a channel first. I've had my very first company reach out to us to ask us to test their product and give them a review. They didn't ask me to say anything positive, negative, or otherwise, just to try out the product and give it a good, honest review. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's go. All right, guys, well, what we've got for you today is some batteries from a company called CEENR. But they sent me a 5 amp and a 6 amp battery and wanted me to compare it to my factory Ryobi batteries. Now, they don't just make Ryobi batteries, they make batteries for 9 total brands in the 5 and the 6 amp models. They also make 8 amp and I believe a 2 amp. But they sent me the 5 and 6 amp to do a comparison. They wanted me to run them through some tests, use them out on some projects, and give them an honest opinion of what I thought about them compared to the OEM Ryobi batteries. Now, the batteries I use for my Ryobi drills and my sanders are the 4 amp batteries. So we're going to be comparing these 5 and 6 amp batteries from CEENR to my 4 amp batteries from Ryobi. But I think it'll give us a good idea on just how long these will last, how they will perform, and how they'll compare to the Ryobi batteries. So we're going to run these things through the gamut, and we're going to start off with first impressions. How they come to you in the mail, how the packaging looks, how they look compared to the original batteries, how they weigh compared to the original batteries, and all those sort of things. Then we're going to do a compatibility test. How do they work with the tools themselves, the Ryobi drill, the Ryobi sander, so on and so forth. How do they fit into the charger? So how compatible are they to the Ryobi products? Like I said again, this will be the similar type of scenario if you had Milwaukee or DeWalt or Black & Decker or Craftsman or any of the other brands that they make batteries for. Thirdly, we're going to get to the good stuff. We're going to put them through the paces with actual use in the shop. We're going to use them to drill some things. We're going to use them to screw in some things. And most importantly, the thing that drains the batteries the most in my shop is my sander. So we're going to run them through a lot of tests with the sander. We're going to let them run and compare the time that the battery lasts and maybe some other things. When we get done with all that, I'm actually going to use them for a few days out in the shop on my next project and see what I think in real-time usage. And then we'll come back and I'll let you know what I like about them, what I didn't like about them, who I would recommend them for, and we'll talk about the value with the prices compared to the OEM products. So let's get started with first impressions. Let's check out the packaging, the first impressions, the size, and all that good stuff. So when you get these, of course, they sent me 2 of them, so I got them in a larger box. That box did have brown paper packaged around these 2 smaller boxes, so that kept them from moving a lot. And then the boxes themselves look nice. They're nice and hefty. Now they did come in the box. They did have like a plastic bag around the battery itself inside the box. I obviously already opened these and took them out, so I didn't put that back in, but they did come that way. And when you take the battery out itself, it does come with, you know, operation manual. I don't know how many people actually read these things. I know I don't too much, and I would need my reading glasses to see it anyways, but nonetheless, it is in there if you like doing that kind of thing. And then it also comes with a warranty terms card and the claim form. Now, these batteries, they do advertise on their website that they have a 3-year warranty. Now, it's probably like most things. I'm sure there's limitations to it, obviously, in circumstances. So you would have to go on and read all the fine print and learn about that if you wanted to use the warranty or try to take advantage of that. But they do advertise that they come with one. I'm going to scoot this one out of the way here so we've got some room. And I want to compare. This is the 5 amp. It is the exact same size as the 6 amp. Everything looks same. So we're just going to use the 5 amp for our comparison here. And I want to bring in my Ryobi battery. That's my 4 amp. And so we can do a comparison here. So as you can see, they are the same size. They are identical in size, and we'll just kind of rotate them here. But they're the same height, the same length, same width, identical. The post that actually connects in and the snaps are on both sides. How they snap into your tool or to your charger, all the same, totally identical. In terms of weight, they feel exactly the same weight to me. One thing when you're working with battery powered tools, the additional weight for batteries can always be a thing. Now, I've always loved my Ryobi tools. I know some people have got different opinions on Ryobi. It's what I had a long time ago. It's what I've stuck with so I can stay on the same battery platform. I've never had any issues with them, never had to replace a single battery. Just bought more because I bought more tools. But I've never had a problem with Ryobi, so we're a budget-friendly channel, budget-friendly shop, so that's what I go with. Once again, not any issues with them. However, I have used other brands that my brother-in-laws or various other people have had when we've done projects together, and I haven't had my tools on me. And I do know that Ryobi is a little bit of a heavier battery than some of the other brands. I haven't used them all. So what you don't want to do is get heavier if possible. So in comparing the two, the CEENR and the Ryobi, man, they feel identical in weight as well. So basically, an apples for apples. The only thing I can really see that's a little bit different on these, apart from obviously the coloring, which is not really a big deal, is on the Ryobi, your power bars are on the front side of the battery. On the CEENR, the power bars are on the back side of the battery here. And the CEENR has something cool though, and we'll see how it works when we get these things hooked up. But I believe this is a light right here. That's what it looks like. So that may be really neat if that's the case. So they look really good in terms of the fit, the finish, the weight, the feel. I would say it's right there with the actual Ryobi factory battery. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to give them a shot now, and we're going to test compatibility, and we will see how they fit into the battery charging stations, how they fit into the tools themselves. Do they click in? Do they hold tight? Do they have any wobble or any play? And we'll kind of see how all that stuff works. All right, so we've got our Ryobi battery charger, and this is just one of the simple ones. It comes when you buy a set where you get the tool and the battery and a free charger. Of course, I've got other larger ones that hold multiple batteries, but this one was easy to get over here. And so let's test out how both these, the 5 and the 6 amp, they look the same, but just for efficiency, let's check them out. And let's see how they fit into the Ryobi charger. Now, these batteries, I know the Ryobi, it's totally charged up, but you can just kind of see in here how it clicks in. And of course, like I said, I've already keep all these charged up, so that one there is charged. So let's try out our 5 amp. Sounds good. And let's turn it around. And if we hit our button, it looks like we're partially charged up. So it comes partially charged, not quite all the way. And we do have our light. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty neat. Could come in handy when you're doing things like maybe under a sink or under a cabinet or inside of some kind of closed area. Would give you a little bit of a light there. And we may even turn the lights off when we're doing the shop test and see how bright it actually is in the dark or inside of a cabinet. Let's try out the other one. Tell it's new. My Ryobi comes out a little easier, but it gets used a lot. And try our 6 amp. And we've got our light is even staying on here. So we'll see how that, not sure how that works. We'll try that out. But again, we've got, so same as the other one. So they are consistent in the way they came in the package. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the 6 amp on the charger. And we'll just see how that works out. We're going to slide the charger out of the way for a minute. And let's bring over some of the tools and just see how they clip into the tools. They should be all the same. All the tools take the same Ryobi battery. But just as an example, I've got one of my sanders here. As you can hear, the same kind of click, same kind of snap. Let's do this. There you go. It sounds good. We have no wobble, no movement. Does come on right away. And let's just show you. Same little bit amount of play. So apples to apples with our sander. Let's go ahead and just do that with a couple other tools. Got our impact driver. That comes on good. How about our nailer? Same thing. And we'll try our angle grinder. Yep. That works out as well. And one more. Just because I got it here. Yeah. So yeah, as we can see, they work and fit in the tools exactly the same way that the Ryobi factory battery does. So that's pretty cool right there. We'll do a more extensive test in our real world section here in a few minutes, but the Ryobi batteries charge pretty quickly on the charger. So one thing we'll do over the next several days when we're testing these things out is drain them all the way down, and then we'll put them on and see how they charge all the way back up. So that's going to be a big important thing for me, because depending on how many projects I got going or what size the project is, you can really run through batteries, especially if you're using several tools at one time and you've got them all going at once and all your batteries. So being able to recharge quickly is a pretty big deal. So next, like I said, is going to be kind of our skills test, where we're going to drill some stuff, screw some stuff in, sand some stuff, and see how all that works. All right, so let's put it to test in some real usage. So we're going to do just a larger drill bit. We've got a good sized Forstner bit. Now I know normally you use that in your drill press, but I think it's a great way to just test out the power of the batteries. And then we're also going to do some screws, some 4-inch long construction screws. Now, before anybody notices, I will say these are all 18-volt batteries, so they should have essentially the same power output. But we've got them, we're here, so we might as well test it out with a few of these basic, everyday, common functions and tasks that we would use these tools for. So we've got our Ryobi battery here. And then we'll use the 5 amp CEENR battery. And just for efficiency purposes, let's go with the 6 amp. Man, it seems good. All right, let's try our Forstner bit. This should be a little bit more of a test for us with our Ryobi battery. 5 amp CEENR. Yeah. 6 amp CEENR. So I know that's a limited test, but they all feel really the same. Now, in terms of power, those are easily as good as what my Ryobi factory battery has, so that's pretty cool. Now, the biggest thing is going to be, we're going to use this on the sander, but for the sander, we're going to use it and do a time test and see how long this battery will last on the sander. That's the thing in my shop that drains my batteries the quickest. And so we're going to set up a little test and just let it run and see how long the battery itself lasts. That ought to be interesting. So let's go. All right, so I've got my sander clamped onto my workbench here with the Ryobi battery in it. We're going to let this thing run. Now, the Ryobi battery is fully charged. Both of the CEENR batteries are fully charged. So we're going to let them run. I'm going to do them one at a time. And we'll let it run till it stops. And we're going to time and see how long the battery will last running the sanders. All right, so we've got our run time test finished up. All three batteries were 100% charged. As you saw, we put them on my sander, clamped that to the workbench. I hit start on the timer, start on the sander at the same time, and we let them run until they died. I hit stop, and here are the results. My 4 amp Ryobi battery ran for 52 minutes and 31 seconds before it tapped out. The 5 amp CEENR battery ran for 1 hour, 1 minute, and 4 seconds before it died. And the 6 amp CEENR battery ran for 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 7 seconds before it died. So there is a gradual increase in runtime, as you would expect between the different amperage. There was a pretty good amount of difference between my Ryobi 4 amp and the CEENR 5 amp. We had about a 8-minute difference, a little under 8-minute difference. And now between the 5 and the 6, not too big of a gap, only about 3 minutes. I would have expected maybe a little bit bigger of a gap between those two. But we've got that test done, so we've seen what we've seen. Now it's time to charge them back up, and let's see how long they take to charge. Because like I said before, that is a big deal when you're really busy and you got a lot of projects going. You don't want to have to sit around and wait for batteries to charge. So let's get that taken care of, and we'll get the timer started. All right, guys, so we finally have gotten done with the charging test for the 3 different batteries. Now, before I give you the times that it took to recharge, I do want to say this first. Now, for the test, I used the standard Ryobi charger that comes when you buy a tool, or the package when you get the tool, the battery, and the charger. Now, I'm assuming other tool brands are like this as well, but Ryobi does have like their speed chargers. And I do have some in the shop. They charge multiple batteries at a time, and they charge in twice the time. So 2 times faster than what the standard charger does. But I don't know if everybody has the additional better charger. A lot of people may just have the charger that comes with the tool when they bought it. So that's the one I wanted to use. I don't really even use this in the shop, like I said, because the other one charges so much quicker. But I wanted to use the standard one so it would be a little more universal for everybody, I thought. So here are the times that we got recharging the batteries from totally dead when they came off the sander to fully 100% charged. My original Ryobi battery, the 4 amp, charged in 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 7 seconds on the standard regular charger. The 5 amp CEENR battery charged in 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 11 seconds to full charge. And the 6 amp CEENR battery took 3 hours, 0 minutes, and 45 seconds to charge fully up. Now, We see a big gap here between the 4 amp Ryobi and the 5 amp CEENR. Now we can expect, much like how long the batteries lasted, that they would take a little longer to charge each step we went up in the amps. However, there's a big gap between the 4 amp Ryobi and the 5 amp CEENR battery, 52 minutes. And if you'll remember, we really only got about 8.5 minutes extra of runtime. Now, let's keep that in perspective though, because that's running solid with the sander going the whole time. If you've got this battery in a drill and you're using the drill throughout a project, or, you know, just every once in a while, that 8 minutes is going to be a lot larger than what it is just running the sander steady. So you have to keep it in perspective of the timeline, but really a big gap, 52 minutes longer to charge up for that 1 extra amp for 8.5 extra minutes. And then we see a small gap, only about 20 minutes or so, between the 5 and the 6 amp. And if you'll remember correctly, we only got a couple extra minutes of runtime on those two. So those are the numbers. I've got one more little test I'm going to run, and then I want to close up, tell you who I think these batteries would be good for, if I would use them in my shop personally, and if I think it would be a good idea for anyone else to maybe give them a shot. So let's check out that flashlight and see how it does in a really dark area. So I know the screen's dark. There's the light. You can see my hand moving in front. So, but I can go out about 2.5 feet before the light doesn't shine on the inside of my hand. It's not bright, but you do get a little bit of light. All right, guys, so I've spent the last few days using the 2 CEENR batteries on some projects here in the shop, larger projects, smaller projects, on a different array of my tools. And I wanted to kind of go over with just my final thoughts. First, let's look at the pros. Runtime. These things hold up as far as the runtime goes to the factory Ryobi batteries. Considering 4 amp versus the 5 amp versus the 6 amp. But they do run longer than my 4 amp Ryobi battery. And so we got to give them a check on that. They seem to hold up with the runtime. Build quality. Apples for apples, they seem to be very similar as the Ryobi in fit and finish, weight, compatibility with the tools and the charger. Everything seems to be working as it should in that regard. So we give them a check on that one. Power output. 18 volts, just like the Ryobi factory battery that I use, and they seem to have the same power output that that battery has. We assumed they would, but we wanted to check, and it looks like that it does hold up, and the 18 volt is apples to apples with the Ryobi as well. And lastly, what everybody probably wants to know about more than anything is price. These things are very inexpensive. Now, I don't want to mistake inexpensive for cheap. We talk about that on the channel quite a bit. For the 5 amp battery right now on the CEENR website, they're selling the 5 amp batteries for $35.99. And that is across all the different battery brands, all the different platforms. Doesn't matter if it's DeWalt, Milwaukee, whatever. They are $35.99 as I'm filming this. The 6 amp battery is $45.99. And again, that's across all 9 of the brands that they make these for. Now, they didn't send me an 8 amp, but just to give you a comparison, in case you have 8 amp, the 8 amps are $59.99 currently. Now, you know, my Ryobi batteries, the one that I've been testing with, the ones that I use every day, they run anywhere, normal price from $129.95 to about $150. So, man, you can get, you know, 4 of these 5 amp CEENR batteries for what we pay for one of the Ryobi batteries. And it runs a little bit longer. Not much, but a little bit longer. So, price for value on paper looks like a pretty good deal. Now let's go over the cons, and then I'll give you my closing thoughts. Two big cons. Charge time. These guys do take quite a bit longer to charge than my Ryobi battery. Now, I know they're a little bit larger, but for the amount of extra runtime I got, 8.5 minutes and 12 minutes, for the extra hour and 20 minutes it took to charge, that really doesn't translate for me. Now, we put them on the quick charger, the speed charger, we cut that time in half, then you got a 30-minute and 40-minute difference. So that's a little bit better. It's still not a significant amount of runtime increase, though, for the amount of time it takes to charge. So that would be the one big knock that I've got on them, is they seem to take a little bit longer to charge than what I feel like they should for the extra runtime you get. Now, that being said, you can buy, like I said, 4 of them, essentially, or at least 3, depending on shipping and all that stuff. But 3 or 4 of these things for what one of the Ryobi batteries cost, or probably what one of your other branded batteries cost. I don't know exactly how much some of the other brand batteries run, but you can buy 3 or 4 of these things for the price of one, so you can rotate them. It's okay if it takes 2.5 hours to charge, or 3 hours to charge, or if you got a quick charger, if it takes an hour and 30 minutes, or whatever, because you got several batteries that'll last you way longer than that. So even though the charging time's a little slow, because you can purchase them at such a good price point, maybe not a big deal in the long run throughout the course of working for a full day or so with them. And the other really con, I don't know if it's really a con, but the light on the front of the battery doesn't really do much. It's got a little bit of light to it. It's not bright enough really to make a difference. You're still going to have to use a flashlight if it's real dark under a cabinet or somewhere you're using it. So, like I said, it's not really a con. It's not a big deal. It's not too bright, but since it's on there, we got to evaluate it. Now, the unknown of all this is, how long do these things last? That's the thing we don't know until we've got months under our belt with them. 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be. I know with Ryobi batteries, I've had one of these batteries that I've got that I use for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I can't even remember. It's been too long for me to even remember. Never had to change it. Still works great. Still charges. In fact, the charger we've been using is the original charger that came with it 8 years ago. So I know those hold up. So that's the question. Anytime you're going with an aftermarket brand, is we don't have a lot to go by until we just try it and use it. Again, they're not super expensive. So if they only last a third of the time of one of the factory batteries, no big deal. They're not that costly. But it's just something we don't know, so I can't give you an honest opinion on the longevity of the battery. All right, so who do I think they're for? Well, I think they're for a lot of different people. DIYers, home improvement folks, guys with woodworking businesses, or shops, or any other type of handyman. I think these things seem to be holding up well. Now, it's a 3 days of testing. So again, I can't speak on longevity, but man, they check off the boxes for aftermarket batteries compared to the factory ones. And the price, you can't beat it. Do I feel comfortable using them in my shop? Yeah, I'm going to use them in my shop. Now, they did send them to me for free, but I would buy them knowing what I know now. And I may go ahead and buy some more of them and use them as in my rotation. So I feel comfortable recommending them for what we know. And I don't think you'd be too upset with them. Again, I didn't test the other brands, but in terms of Ryobi, I feel pretty good about them. And I think I'm going to be happy to use them in my shop with my tools on a regular basis. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. It's a first for the channel, a first for me. I wanted to do an in-depth review and try to do a great job with it and give you the best opinion I could of this aftermarket product. So if you want to go on their website and check them out, CEENR, I'll put it on the screen here and I'll link it in the description below. You guys take care, be blessed, and we'll see you again soon.